Hey, this is Walter Jones.
This is Austin St. John.
And you're listening to
Ranger Danger.
In the podcasting life, they must fight to survive. Shackled by the chains of the past. They're the biggest of geeks, cause they watch every week. Subscribe to see if they can last. Go, go, Ranger Danger. We can't ever stop. Go, go, Ranger Danger. Podcast till we drop, probably forever. Dino Charge, yeah, whatever. Ranger Danger, Ranger Danger, Ranger Danger, Ranger Danger, Ranger Danger, Dino Charge.
Alright, welcome once again to Ranger Danger Dino Charge, the podcast where we watch an episode of the TV series Power Rangers Dino Charge. And then after that, we do what Thomas Edison would have done and use that electrical charge to destroy a dinosaur through electrocution just to prove that Nikola Tesla is a bad person.
Okay, that's a tortured metaphor, I think.
Is that not what we do on this show?
I certainly don't think I've ever used electricity to destroy a dinosaur, nor do I think that that's what Thomas Edison would have done had he had a dinosaur.
No, he did that to elephants, though.
No, I know he did it to elephants, but I don't think he'd have done it to a dinosaur.
I'm just saying, if dinosaurs were readily available, he would have done it.
Oh, okay.
He was a monster, Michael.
Anyway.
I'm Matt.
I'm Michael.
I'll be your low-energy host for tonight, because I'm quite tired. That means, Michael, you'll have to be the high-energy host.
Woo, 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 woo. No, I can't do that.
You almost had it. Just try and keep that hype going.
I'll see what I can do.
So we're going to watch episode number 4 of Power Rangers Dino Charge, which is entitled something of the Caveman?
Return of the Caveman.
Return of the Caveman, that's it. Before we do that, though, we've got a few things to talk about. Now, this is our first proper episode since that short film dropped recently that starred Katie Sackhoff and James Van Der Beek. We covered our thoughts on that pretty extensively, sort of, in that episode.
Yeah, if you haven't heard that special episode, it came out last Tuesday. It should be in your feeds.
That's exactly right. Now, since that happened, a few of the Rangers have given their reactions to it.
Yeah.
It's interesting that, very weird for me, the person who I sort of most closely mirrored in reaction was Jason David Frank.
That's got to be unusual for you.
It was a weird situation, but he basically said that he appreciates the talent involved, but it just wasn't for him because he doesn't think Power Rangers should be that sort of, cocaine-fueled and violent and whatnot, and that we sort of have to respect that the franchise is for kids.
Sure.
And we have to sort of share it with them, and that's not the way to do it.
Yeah.
So that was cool, up until the point where he used it to sort of badger the Lionsgate people to get him into the upcoming reboot film again, so...
If he's still badgering, we'd have to assume that, he doesn't have a confirmed part, right?
It's hard to tell, to be honest. It might be that he went in and sort of spoke with them, they didn't nail anything down, and he wants to keep the pressure on, but, we won't know for a while, I expect, either way.
I mean, I feel like at this point, I would genuinely be surprised if he's not in it in some capacity.
In passing, sure.
But I also certainly think that the capacity that he's going to be in it is in no way as much as he wants to be in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the other Ranger that I noticed had a reaction was Amy Jo Johnson, which is Kimberly.
Yeah.
And she pretty much just said, yeah, that's cool. Which sort of wouldn't be news in and of itself, but I think it's an interesting indicator of how she's very much embracing her sort of Ranger past now in a way that she wasn't even a year ago, I'd say.
Certainly 2 or 3 years ago, for her to have tweeted about that would have been pretty rare.
That's right. She does seem to be engaging the community now, which is interesting to me.
I'm glad.
Oh, absolutely.
Even if you're a cynical person who thinks it's just because there's an opportunity for her to make her career work a bit better out of it.
Yep.
I think, not being ashamed of the shit you did 20 years ago.
Yep.
Just, it's nice.
It is nice, absolutely. And I think the Power Rangers community is better for her involvement either way. So
I'd agree with you there.
Yeah. I haven't noticed any other people of note responding to the film, but if you have, you should write in and let us know.
Yeah.
Cool. And there was one other reaction from Jackie Marchand, who I believe was a producer on the show.
Yeah, she started about the same time as Judd Lynn did.
Yep.
I think made it a little further than he did.
Yep.
And came back in the middle when he wasn't there.
Sure.
I don't know if she's come back recently or not. I'm not sure.
Yep. Her own reaction to it was a gif of Clint Eastwood with a shotgun captioned "Get off my lawn," which I thought was amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty nice.
All right. We might jump straight into listener emails now.
Okay. Before we do, I've got something.
Oh, go ahead, Michael.
So, they released the episode title for episode 8 of Dino Charge during the week.
Okay.
I don't want you to overreact.
Okay.
The episode is called Double Ranger, Double Danger.
Okay.
I'm choosing to take that as a reference to us.
Yep.
I think that's the only reasonable way to take it.
I think that's their commentary on us now doing 2 episodes a week.
Yeah, we've started doing double episodes. I think it's very nice of them to slip in that reference.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you guys. And if you could send us some money, maybe.
That'd be great. We could use it. We are starving.
I mean, we're not starving. Are you starving? I just had
sometimes.
Okay. Okay.
I'm more time poor than anything, so if they could send me some time, that'd be great.
If they can send you some time, I'd like to get in on that, please.
Sure.
And also, can you spend a bit more time on Power Rangers, guys? Maybe? Okay. Listener emails. Matt, will you get them out of the space dumpster?
I sure will. I'm going to lift up the lid now. Oh, God, this doesn't get any easier. In fact, it gets harder as I get older. All right. Okay. I've got it open. Now, this first one is from Danny. This would have been a fantastic segue previously, because it's actually about the Power Rangers short film.
Oh, it's a shame we didn't read these emails in advance, isn't it?
Absolutely. All right, so he says, first off, I did enjoy the fan film for what it was. However, it's too extreme for the mass audience. I wouldn't mind when the Rangers film comes out for it to go for the PG crowd instead of the Y7 crowd, which it is on TV.
Yep.
A good example of this is the 1990 TMNT film. Universally,
which one is that?
That was the first live-action one.
Okay, right. Yep.
Universally loved by their fans of the original cartoon and made money at the box office, which Lionsgate will want. Power Rangers to make money and not alienate 2/3 of moviegoers. He says, anywho, I'm a new listener and keep up the great work. Thank you very much for that, Danny.
I believe Danny actually tweeted at us during the week to ask us a question.
Oh, okay.
So what he asked was, when this movie comes out, would you want it to be set in the 90s?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. That's a pretty that's a very definitive answer.
How about you?
I don't have strong feelings either way. I'd be fascinated by the idea of a 90s period piece.
Yeah. I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready to be that old,
So that's the real worry for you, is just that you're not ready for the 90s to be 20 years ago.
That's right. No, I think more than anything else, it shouldn't... That's not a core element of the Power Rangers.
Right.
Like, some things are very important. It's important when they occur. Like, the first Captain America film, his origin should be in World War II. Like, no matter how far we get into the future, that should always be where his story begins.
Yep.
For Power Rangers... The 90s is not core. That's just when it happened to happen.
Okay, yep, fair enough. That's a reasonable explanation.
Thank you. So the next email is from Samuel. Power listener Samuel.
Hey, Samuel.
Hey, buddy. He says, hello, Matt and Michael. I'm writing in to give in my first thoughts on the first 3 episodes of Dino Charge. In a nutshell, I love them. This is the first new Power Rangers that I've watched since Dino Thunder, and it is so good. I liked how they didn't rush introducing all the characters and Zords into the first episode. It's nice to see the show take its time. I like all the Rangers as well. Chase is the one Ranger that I have least affection for, as he really hasn't had much of a spotlight put on him yet. That's very true. But I'm sure his time will come. Much like you, I was happy to see practical Zords. I can forgive any bad CG Zords, because we get such beautiful practical ones. Yeah, I'm with him there. And that Megazord is awesome. I might have to buy one for my collection. I'm interested to see if there are any other versions of the Megazord using the black and blue Ranger Zords. I expect so, Michael, don't you?
I can tell you, Matt, that based on my very brief Fantasy Zordon preliminary research, we could basically get a different formation of the Megazord every episode.
Wow. Okay.
I think there's like a lot of them.
That's crazy. Fair enough. Or maybe their Zords can combine to make a second Megazord. Plus, there are 4 more Rangers to come. Do you guys think that there'll be a Super Dino Charge next season? Could they hold off introducing some of the extra Rangers until then? I think that's very possible, to be honest.
So Saban have filed a trademark for Dino Supercharge.
Yep.
So, look, they're certainly not obliged to use it. But, yeah, I'd say we'd be very surprised to not see it.
That does seem to be the model at the moment, at least while they're on Nickelodeon.
Yes.
I think if we saw them go to another network, that may change, but I think we'll stick.
My understanding is the deal with Nickelodeon won't allow them to produce more than 20 episodes a year.
Yep.
But they want to make 40-episode seasons
Out of
because
the
they've
Sentai
got
footage.
50-episode seasons to work with.
Yep, absolutely.
So compressing that all into like half as many episodes, very rushed and very rapid pacing.
Yep.
I do think it means we probably will see, going forward, more season skipping.
Yep, absolutely, because they only need roughly half of the Sentai series, basically.
Yeah, which is kind of disappointing,
Yeah.
in a way. But at the same time, you know, I certainly understand them having the freedom to go, okay, trains, maybe we don't want to do trains, let's just skip straight to ninjas instead.
At the same time, though, I kind of, it's unfortunate that they don't have that challenge. Like, they can take the easy way out sometimes, and it would be interesting to be like, okay, you've got the silly train one, what can you do with that? You know, that's your creative challenge, go nuts.
I agree with you, but also, from what I've seen of the Crazy Ninja one, whichever one of those they choose, they're going to be pretty stuck.
Sure, absolutely.
So, I'd say it's very likely that we'll see Dino Supercharge next year. I don't know how many of the extra Rangers they'll hold off on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, you'd want to keep some, I guess.
Because
otherwise it's just 20 episodes of the same 10 dudes fighting monsters.
Yep.
But it could be all 4, maybe. I would like to think we'll see the Gold Ranger this season.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I guess we'll find out. And he says, one last thing. You mentioned how Shelby seemed to be hesitant about being a Power Ranger, like Kimberly was in the first episode of MMPR. That is nothing. In the pilot of Megaforce, the final scene is very reminiscent of the end of Day of the Dumpster. The Pink Ranger even makes the same comment about the helmet messing up her hair. So he included a link to that scene, which we can watch a bit later, which doesn't surprise me at all. From what I've heard, particularly the pilot, basically copied the formula straight up. Which...
Do you think, I mean, I'd like to think that that's an intentional reference, but also I'm kind of am fond of the idea that after 20 years, you just accidentally reuse a line.
I think it's probably intentional, because it also ends in like a everyone put their hands together Power Rangers thing.
Okay, then, yeah, sure.
It's pretty clear. And part of me wants to be like, oh, that's a respectful homage, but part of it too is back in the 50s, when they assumed that comic readers were between 5 and 8, and they would stop immediately after that age.
And so they reuse plots every 3 years?
Exactly. Every 3 years they thought it was okay to just go ahead and do the exact same thing over again, because they figured they'd cycle through the viewership.
Yeah, and frankly, it's a miracle that we don't get the same 20 episodes of Power Rangers every year.
That's right. So, yeah, I don't want to ever applaud that precedent, you know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so I think that's it for listener emails for this week. We might just...
Make sure you shut the dumpster, Matt.
Oh, yeah, don't want to leave it open. Something might get out.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Have to tell.
Nope. No getting out this time.
Nope.
All right, we're going to go watch Return of the Caveman. We're going to take some Fantasy Zordon scores, and we will see you in a minute after we've watched it, and hopefully after you've watched it too.
Yeah, I hope it's good.
Yeah, me too.
I hope it fills out Koda's backstory a little bit.
Also too, yes.
I'd like to get some justification for how he spent, well, was it 100,000 years?
A long time.
A long time.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll watch that, and we'll see you guys in a sec.
Sounds good. See you soon, guys.
Ranger danger, Ranger danger.
Welcome back. All right, we just watched Return of the Caveman.
Yep.
He didn't really return from anywhere. He was there the whole time, but that's fine. We can move on from that.
Yeah, I mean, he never really went anywhere, did he?
He didn't, but look, it's a catchy title, so I'll give that to them.
Sure.
Yeah. Shall we just take it from the top?
I think that's the only place to take it from.
At the start, we have a little sort of canned, this is your introduction to the show if you've never seen it before.
Yep.
And I keep forgetting the main villain's name.
Sledge?
Sledge, thank you, Michael. Sledge has a little sort of spiel that isn't unlike Rita's, after 50,000 years I'm free.
10,000, but go on.
10,000. Yeah.
You've heard that so many times. How do you not remember it?
Because I think I started to tune it out, is why.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, that's all I had to say about that.
Oh, okay. I really don't like whoever they got to do the voiceover.
That guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a bit kind of over the top.
Yeah, he hams it up. It's the same guy that does the, like, the Dino Charger announcements and stuff like that.
It very well could be.
Yeah, pretty sure it is. He has a very distinctive voice. So we open on Koda making some cave markings.
Yeah, he's chiseling.
Yeah, on the wall of a cave. And at this point I was thinking, Koda, why are you doing that? We have iPads now. But he's doing that because this is a flashback to ancient Koda caveman times.
And you can tell because we're getting 2001 music in the background.
Are we? I didn't
It's
notice
all
that.
like horns and trumpets going... doo-doo.
Right, okay. So he's sort of making some markings in the wall, but then he notices that there's a blue flashing sort of energem-looking thing.
What could it be?
In the wall. It turns out it's an energem. So this is us seeing Koda discover his energem for the first time. Now, outside, younger relative of his, presumably?
Taku, we will later learn that his name is.
Taku is being menaced by the world's least convincing CGI saber-tooth tiger.
Oh boy.
It's like, there's been some really good effects on this show so far.
This
was
not
one of them.
No.
Particularly because, like, it's not in the distance, it's not in shadow. It, like, immediately gets up on Taku, like, right up in his grill, and then stands there for a good few minutes while Koda runs out. And it just does not hold up to that sort of close-up.
It wouldn't hold up to a still shot. It doesn't hold up to anything. It's easily the worst effect we've seen on Dino Charge so far.
It looks a lot like Cheetor from Beast Wars. And that was 20 years ago now.
I just can't help but feeling that if they could maybe have found some, like, obviously not, like, archive footage, because there's no archive footage of saber-toothed tigers. But if they could have borrowed something from Walking with Dinosaurs, or, like...
Yeah, just license the rights or something.
Some sort of stock that they could have licensed, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But no, that's not what we get. So Koda rushes out to tackle this saber-toothed tiger, but overshoots a bit and ends up going off the edge of a cliff with the tiger.
Yep.
And is falling down, but at that point the energem sort of activates and encases him, and it looks like he falls into what might be ice?
It's definitely water or ice. It's also terrible CG, so it's pretty tough to tell.
It is hard to tell. But at this point I was like, oh, I see, Koda's Captain America.
Yeah.
So I guess we were talking last week about, has he been living this whole time? It seems like the answer is no.
Yep.
But we still don't know when he woke up. If it was like 5 days ago or if it was 500 years ago.
Yeah, there's certainly room if they want to go back in later episodes and say, okay, he's been around for like 40 years.
Yep.
They could easily do that.
That doesn't quite seem like the case given how he acts in this episode, but it's possible.
Yeah.
So it's back to the present, and we discover this was just a terrible nightmare that Koda was having, reliving his past. And something's causing a racket outside of his cave, so he goes out to check out what it is.
Yeah, I'd like to say before we get to that, this is the 4th episode in a row written by Judd Lin.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to write the whole season.
No, I expect he either will or write the majority of them and co-write the rest.
That's certainly been his MO in the past.
Yeah.
I don't know to what extent he's working with a team of writers and just does a lot of the work, and to what extent he's just actually writing them all.
Yeah.
I suspect on something like Power Rangers, that's probably feasible.
Sure.
But, yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see as we go on.
Yeah. So what was causing this racket outside Koda's cave was a brand new dino cycle? Is that what they're calling them?
They are called dino cycles, mate. You can tell because they're dinosaur motorcycles.
Yes, thank you. So, like, it's hard not to be cynical about this stuff. Like, I know that toys are the reason that this show exists, so you just have to be down with it. But it really was like, hey, look at this new toy that you could buy too, kids.
This is episode 4, and I think we've seen, like, a new thing for you to buy every week.
Yeah.
It is just starting to feel like, okay, stop front-loading me with all the stuff.
Yeah. Save something, you guys. Like, it's episode 4. We can wait a little bit.
But there are 6 more Power Rangers to get to, or 5 at least, so...
That's true. Yeah, so, you know, it's a motorcycle, basically, that has some sort of scanning properties and it shoots lasers.
Yeah, so it's got laser blasters and energy scanners.
Great. I'm so glad.
You know, those are useful tools.
So Koda's first instinct is to attack it because he doesn't like loud noises, I guess. Initially, I was like, ooh, I wonder if this is like Koda has special instincts that no one else does, and there's actually something evil about these cycles.
No.
But no, that's not what this is.
No, that's not what happens at all.
And then Shelby's phone goes off and he hits that too and smashes it to bits.
We get a nice bit of verbal comedy about nobody knowing what the phrase "a squiz" means.
Yeah. Now, this is an interesting scene for me because, like, I know if I had sat down and thought about it, I would know that this show isn't set in New Zealand.
Yes.
But because I know that it's, like, shot in New Zealand, I know a lot of the cast are from New Zealand, I can't help but think about this as New Zealand
in my head it is happening in New Zealand.
That's
it's
right.
just like an unnamed new part of New Zealand that they've made up.
That's right. But the conversation reveals that Chase is from New Zealand.
Good work, Matt.
No one else is.
No.
And they haven't.
Well,
been
many
to Australia
other people
either.
are from New Zealand, Matthew.
No, I haven't seen any.
Flight of the Conchords?
I haven't ever seen any Flight of the Conchords, I'm going to be honest.
What?
I know, I'm a bad person.
What? Oh, Matt, you haven't seen the Iron Giant, you haven't seen any... I can't cope with you.
Yeah,
We need to do a separate podcast that's just you watching all the shit you should have seen.
I'm sure there's some stuff that we've discussed that you haven't seen that appall me. So we can
Yeah,
probably
sure, but we
alternate.
don't talk about it on the podcast, so I get away with the high horse.
Yeah, sure, okay. That's because I have a terrible memory and can't remember.
Anyway,
So, yeah, the point of the story is that it's not Australia, it's not New Zealand. We will forever never be represented on Power Rangers.
hey, there's a New Zealander, that's pretty close.
That's true, and thinking about it now, there is actually a small story arc where the Power Rangers of Mighty Morphin fame go to Australia, so...
Do they have a base in the outback?
I don't think so, but I can't say for certain.
Okay, that's fine. Why did everyone go to Australia in the mid-90s? Why were we cool for like 5 years when I was too young to remember it?
Is it Crocodile Dundee? I don't know when that came out.
Yeah, you know, it almost certainly is Crocodile Dundee now that you mention that.
Yeah. But I know for the Rangers specifically, it was because they were shooting the movie
Yes.
in Australia and never wanted to waste any time. Haim Saban got them to shoot some episodes in Australia while they were there on top of the movie.
Well, what's that, Matt? You've got like 20 minutes of downtime? That's a whole episode.
That's right. So that's why we get some Australian episodes. Yeah, so back to Dino Charge.
Sure.
Where are we at? Oh, that's right. Koda has to learn to ride a bike. So Riley is... No, not Riley. Chase.
Chase.
Chase is going to help him learn how to do that.
Yeah.
He takes him out riding on a bicycle. And we get some pretty basic physical comedy about Koda not knowing how to ride a bike.
He falls off.
He does fall off. That's the extent of
That's the joke. Yeah.
Until the monster of the week shows up.
Yeah, have you guys seen the gay policeman from the Village People? It's that guy.
It's funny because it's true. With more cages. As
Yes.
if that makes it, like, less sexual.
Yeah, if he could possibly have additional bondage gear attached to him, that's the bad guy of this week.
That's right. He has a pretty cool gimmick, though, in that he throws energy cages. And if you get trapped by an energy cage, you get teleported to a cave prison.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm sorry, every second that he was in the shot, I was thinking, okay, but when's the construction worker going to show up? And he's called Slammer, which I know is like a term for prison, but if you had to name a gay policeman cage monster,
It's probably going to be Slammer, yeah.
ugh.
But, again, it's a power that I haven't seen before from Power Rangers, and that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah,
So, I will take it. So he gets chased pretty much straight up, but Koda's able to roll out of the way, for a moment anyway, to avoid his caging. And another one gets thrown at him, and it's sort of headed towards a young boy on a bicycle.
Matt, you've skipped past a hella dope fight scene.
Have I?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He does like a jump kick and some other like flips and shit.
He does, actually. You're very right. I do remember this now. He's a very accomplished physical fighter, which is not surprising.
I don't know about the credentials of the rest of them,
Yeah.
but I think Koda is definitely going to be out, like, does some flips fighter.
Yeah. And I'm down for that.
Me too.
Yep. So, cool fight scene, and then a cage heads for a young boy on a bicycle. Koda dives in to help, but the net result is they both get caged.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, he didn't think that through much, did he?
Well, at least he was there to help the kid, so, I understand the thought. And this is obviously drawing a clear parallel to when he leapt to save his friend / relative Taku back in the past.
Yeah, it's not even subtle.
No. So he ends up in a cage with the young boy, and chases in another cage, and they're both in a big cave. So we discovered that because there was a bicycle involved, the cage sort of came down on the bicycle, which warped the cage and left enough room for Koda to escape. Now, it looks like the young boy has broken his leg, which is pretty intense.
That's
for a
what
kid show.
they say. His leg looks completely normal. Have you ever broken a limb, Matt?
No, I haven't. I've done just about everything else, but I've never really broken a bone.
Okay, do you know if you, like, do people's arms look weird when they break their arms?
I don't think so. I mean, you can break it and not break the skin, but, there's also the extreme version where you break it and the bone comes out of your leg. But I don't think that's what happens here. Thank God.
No, that's definitely much more extreme than this show will ever go.
Yeah. So they escape their little cage, and they have to leave Chase behind. They say, Chase, or Koda says, Chase, I'm going to take this little kid here out, and I'll come back for you. And he says all this in his caveman talk.
That's starting to grate.
It is. I'm hoping it eases up. It's not showing any sign of doing it yet, but see how we go. It's cool, though, to see some actual heroism from the characters.
Yep.
That goes beyond fighting. Like, this is Koda really going out of his way to take care of someone and put that person first, and that's really nice.
Yeah, there's a kid in trouble, and they help the kid first.
Yep. And he also, I should mention, is able to make fire with sticks, because, caveman.
Yep.
And
Useful caveman skills.
Yep. Uses that to make a torch they can use to light their way out.
We should talk, before we go any further, about the bit on the enemy spaceship.
Oh, right, yeah, I forgot about that.
So, basically, Fury presents Slammer to Sledge and says, this is the guy, send this one down.
Yep.
And what's her name? Poisandra.
Yep.
She's all uppity and like, oh, Fury's a piece of shit. He's been there for 65 million years, hasn't done anything. which is probably reasonable. I don't think this show understands how vast a time span 65 million years is.
Yeah, I think they do, but they just don't feel obligated to deal with it. You know, like, they know that kids won't be able to comprehend that scale of time, so they don't really have to address it.
It's just so long. It's like older than your grandfather. It's so long.
It's much older than your grandfather, actually, yeah.
By about 65 million years, yes.
Yes.
So, Sledge has got Poisandra a present.
Yep.
Wrench built Curio, who is like a green, I guess, teardrop-shaped mat.
Yeah, he looks kind of like if you had like a travelling gypsy that was made out of cloth and looked less like a person and more like a bag.
Yep, okay. I can see that.
But he looks almost cute, except that he has a weird like masquerade mask around his crotch. And that's
Wait,
weird.
what?
Didn't you see that?
No.
He has like a white human mask around either his crotch or his stomach. It's hard to tell on such a creature.
Okay. I'm looking at a photo now. It's kind of at belly button level, maybe.
Okay, yeah.
Only
saw it in passing.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
What's
and that's
going
what
on
sort
there?
of made it go, oh, okay, that's not cute, that's creepy.
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting about this scene is that nothing occurs, like, there's no follow-up on this at all.
No.
Now, I trust Judd Lin, I expect it's going to occur later, but it's interesting to see the seeds of plots being planted in earlier episodes, and not in just, like, the really long-term, like, oh, this person's going to be a ranger later, so we'll show them early. This is, like, probably going to show up next episode, and they're starting the story now.
Yep.
And that's surprisingly complex for Power Rangers.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
In what we've been watching of Mighty Morphin, it's rare for them to start a plot like the episode before it's going to pay off.
It's rare for them to start a plot like 5 minutes before it's going to pay off.
We've been through some things, guys.
Anyway, so Koda and Chase are in a cave, and at this point, the other Rangers have noticed that they're missing. Because Koda doesn't know how to tell the time, and Chase is always late. Shelby's a little skeptical, but then Dr. Scientist Lady points out that they can't be reached on their Dino communicators either, so something's probably up.
Yep.
What's her name, Michael?
Kendall?
Kendall, thank you. I should write this shit down.
You should.
I should. Let's get a chart. Print off a chart for myself.
I'll make you a chart, Matt.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So they head out on their dino cycles, at least.
Can I just say,
Yep.
when she comes in and like has this conversation,
Mm-hmm.
Tyler and what's the Green Ranger's name? Riley. Yes. Okay. Sure. They're both working at the cafe,
Yep.
and she just says to the two of them, like, "No, Power Rangers is more important."
Yep.
I hope she covered their shifts.
Yeah, I think so. You'd hope
Because
so.
Shelby was the only person working there that we saw other than the two of them.
Yep.
And the next time we see Shelby, she's downstairs as well.
Yep.
So I really hope that she, like, called in someone or...
No, there's just one intern there that's freaking out because there's, like, weekend crowds there and no one to serve them hamburgers.
I would love there to be one episode about Derek, the, like, paleontology cafe intern,
Yep.
who just works there, and he's the one who's constantly getting called in for shifts.
He's like a
While
volunteer because it's a museum.
And it's happening
like-
whenever a giant monster fight happens.
Yep.
Conveniently, he's just like, oh, geez, I'm going to go into the city again. Come on.
Get stuck in traffic because there's like a giant monster blocking the road.
And then he gets there, and she's like, oh, no, it's okay. These guys are back. It's fine.
Yeah. And he just sighs and goes home.
Yeah. Poor Derek.
Poor Derek. Aw, you made me really sad about Derek now.
Let's move on then.
I think we need a hashtag we love you, Derek. Hashtag to support him.
Hashtag Dino Charge. Hashtag we love Derek.
Yep, there we go. Okay, so we're back in the cave. Koda's carrying the little kid on his back to get him out. This looks a lot like the cave that was in the first episode, by the by.
It looks like every cave we've seen on this show so far.
It's kind of the Dino Charge version of the Mighty Morphin Cave where everything happens.
Yeah, I mean, do you think it's meant to be the same cave?
It's hard to tell. I don't think so, because that cave backed onto a forest, this one backs onto a beach.
Maybe it's the opposite ends, though.
Yeah, that's true. Fair point. Who knows? Anyway, so they're in the cave. At this point, Slammer has noticed that Koda and the boy are missing and sort of gets upset about it, and Riley gives him some lip. And that's about the extent of that.
Chase.
Gonna get this down eventually. So the other rangers arrive. It's on the beach at the outskirts of the cave because their scanners have led them there. And they're like, oh, we can't see anything. And then the Red Ranger sees the cave entrance. He's like, oh, maybe they're in there. And sure enough, Koda slow motion runs out with the kid in his arms, with his shirt having been ripped to shreds so he can show off his manly pecs.
He's got very manly pecs.
He does. I mean, look, if you look like that, I would not wear shirts very often either.
I wouldn't own a shirt.
Yeah, I'm with you. So they reunite, and they're just about to head back in for Chase. And I should say at this point, Kendall takes the kid and leaves, which is good. They think about the child first.
Also, if she was hanging around while they do a giant robot fight, that could be rough.
That's very true. So they're just about to head in and grab Chase, but Slammer. Got it, Slammer.
When in
Slammer,
doubt, it's the gayer of those two names.
Thank you. Slammer appears to menace them once again, throws another energy cage, but this time Koda jumps up and intercepts it midair and grabs it as it's coming down, and it looks pretty badass.
I don't know that it makes any sense, because the last time we saw him using the cages, it looks like they kind of magically trapped you. Like they didn't have an open hole in them.
I like the idea that if you're ready for it, you can sort of catch it as it's phasing through, in and over top.
I certainly think Power Rangers in general is supportive of the idea that if it looks cool enough,
yep,
you can get away with it.
Which is a good rule. That's how we play when we're doing Dungeon World, basically. So,
I think it's a good rule for life.
Yep, I'm with you. Oh, I just wanted to... Sorry, jumping back a bit. In the cafe scene,
yes,
they have incidental music, which is the exact same incidental music from MMPR, which is the slow version of the Go-Go Power Rangers theme.
Yep.
Just slightly updated, and it's great. It's very nostalgic. Yeah. So, back to the fight. Slammer is there. He's created some Vivics to fight the Rangers.
Yep.
And they decide that it's Morphin time.
It is indeed Morphin time.
Yep. And in fact, Koda gets to deliver the morphing call, so it points to me.
He does, and he does it in his caveman talk, because...
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surely he can't go another 5 episodes.
I guess we'll find out.
Yep.
So at this point we have a fight. It's basically Shelby and Koda versus some Vivics. While Koda and... Nope. Riley?
Yep.
And the Red Ranger take on
The
Slammer.
Red Ranger's name is...
Red Ranger Man?
Tyler.
Tyler. That's a stupid name.
Sorry to anybody listening named Tyler.
I feel like we do have Tyler. I feel so bad now. It's not that bad. I was just lashing out because I couldn't remember his name. Really, I'm the bad one here, not you, Tyler.
Yep, Matt is indeed a stupid name.
That's right. I will concede that point. So it's a weird Vivix fight. It makes me feel like it's American footage because they don't make the Vivix blow up. They just throw them into some barrels.
I wonder if it wasn't maybe a longer fight that got cut down.
Sure.
Because, yeah, we do only see kind of a couple of punches. It's not a very big fight.
No. Now, where did you fall, Michael, on what we count as a destroyed Vivix?
I think the ruling we made last week was explosions.
Okay, cool. So basically no Vivix points this week.
No Vivix this week. I had a pretty rough week all in all.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I was like, oh, Koda gets 3, but no, he basically just taps them on the chest and they fall over. It doesn't look definitive in any
And
sense.
they're not Z putties. Tapping them in the chest doesn't make them explode.
No, sadly not.
It just makes them step backwards.
That's right. So Tyler and Riley have a bit of a sort of like fist fight with Slammer.
Yep.
But they decide to get out their new bikes, their Dino Cycles.
There
and
appear to be only 2 bikes.
Yes.
There's 5 of them.
Yeah, well, I think it seems like Shelby just didn't bring hers because she's not riding on one at all the whole time.
Yeah, it's...
Well,
I don't know. It's strange.
It is strange. So basically they just ride around dodging explosions for a while. There's some conveniently placed ramps that they ride up to jump into the air while things explode.
As discussed, that's the rule of looking awesome.
Exactly right. Michael, would you consider getting a motorcycle and riding on it as a power-up?
I don't know.
Okay.
What do you think?
I feel like it kind of is. Like, it's a new power, kind of. And, like, it's very either they have it or they don't. So it's pretty easy to categorize.
Let's talk about that one, and we'll make a ruling off air.
Okay, sure, no worries. So they attack while on their motorcycles. And then Koda sort of puts a charger into his sword while on his motorcycle and slashes his
It's not Koda, Matt.
Riley, sorry.
Koda is the caveman one.
I know. I'm very tired. It's very late here. And sort of does a cool slash as he drives past.
Yep.
I was pretty ready to mark down he gets a solo defeat. But sadly, no.
No.
Tyler also gets a shot in with his blaster.
Yep.
That ends up sort of ending the fight. Sadly.
Yep, unfortunately, yes. This is one of the things that's always kind of bugged me about this show, is that the Japanese footage, for obvious reasons, has no relation to, like, the plot of the American episode.
Yep.
Like, if you were writing this from scratch, this would be the episode that, like, Koda's Zord becomes the main part of the Megazord.
Absolutely.
And does all of the, like, cool stuff, and he gets the last big shot in.
Yep.
This episode, Riley's Zord becomes part of the Megazord for the first time.
Yep.
Just because that was already how it happened.
That's right.
And it's kind of narratively disappointing.
Yep. I agree 100%. And there's not much you can do about it, I guess. You can sort of reverse engineer it so you only write episodes like that when, like, Koda gets to destroy the enemy, like the Blue Ranger gets to destroy the enemy, but that really limits your storytelling options.
Yeah, all of a sudden you've got to wait until episode 12 to tell this story.
Exactly. So, and that's a huge pain, I get that. So, no easy answers, unfortunately.
No. Other than being ready to pay money to make a full show yourself.
Indeed. So the monster blows up, but of course it doesn't end there. Sledge makes him grow.
Yep.
And at this point, and I quite like this, they're like, oh, we should go back and get Chase first. But then it turns out the monster's basically standing in front of the cave, so no dice there.
I like that the reason they don't go get Chase isn't like, oh, there's a giant monster and he'll destroy the town.
Yeah.
It's, oh no, he's standing in the way.
Yeah.
Like, if he was on the other side, they'd go spend 20 minutes getting him first.
I don't know that it would be 20 minutes. I think with all of them there, they'd make quick work of it, but, you know, neither here nor there. The monster grows. They don't have Chase, so they're going to have to go on without him. They first form the Megazord we saw last week,
Yes.
which is...
Red, pink, blue.
Exactly right. And they don't have that for very long, though, when they decide that it's time for Riley to bring out his Velociraptor Zord for the first time, which enters by cutting down some bamboo and form part of the Megazord as well. Now, what this actually entails is Shelby's Zord disconnecting from the Megazord, and so that's one arm comes off, and then Riley's Zord goes on.
Yep.
Which is pretty rad.
What do you think of that kind of structure?
It's a weird situation because we get in Zord shots later where Shelby's still in the Megazord.
Yep.
But her Zord sort of goes back to rescue Chase, drills a hole in the wall to get him out. And it's a weird sort of like you don't go with your Zord. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I really like everyone comes together, forms a team, and they work together to make the Megazord.
Yep.
And I'll get that. It's cool to have more combinations as well, but I'm not sure it's worth never really having the whole team working together.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the big sacrifices has been of the whole, like, more than 5 or 6 Rangers on each team.
Yep.
Has been the idea that you get one cool giant robot that looks like it was designed to be one cool giant robot.
Yeah, and he's iconic as well. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm never really going to get a feel for the Megazord if it's different every week.
I mean, by the time there's 10 of these guys,
Yeah.
that Megazord is just going to look like 10 dinosaurs standing on each other.
Yes,
It's not
absolutely.
going to look like a thing.
I can't imagine they all go into, like, form one Megazord.
Well, Matt, I don't know for a fact, but I suspect you're going to need to be prepared for that.
Okay, fair enough. So, yeah, basically Riley Zord gets added on, and it's a pretty quick end to the fight because they do this cool thing where they light the blades on Riley's Velociraptor on fire and then do like a charging fire slash.
Yeah, one of the things that I really like is that he is, I guess, like a swordsman, which
Yeah.
I assume they've taken from the Japanese footage,
Yeah.
because the Green Ranger does seem to have a sword the most as well.
Yep, absolutely.
And so his part of the Megazord adds like a blade arm to the Megazord.
Yep.
It's a nice kind of touch.
Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting that sort of Koda's Stegosaurus seems to be like the utility arm, and then the other one alternates between either a blade or a drill, and it makes me think that Chase is going to have some sort of other weapon-specific addition to the Zord.
Yeah, which arm do you think he's going to take?
I think it's probably going to be that same one.
Okay.
I don't know, but yeah, as I said, I feel like Koda's the, like, do stuff arm, and the other one is the weapon arm, and that's interchangeable.
Fair enough. I guess we'll find out. I mean, I'd imagine next week or the week after.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, and then the monster explodes. Yay!
You should just clip that bit out, and we can just reuse that in every episode we record from now on.
Absolutely. And then it's all monster extinct, which I guess is a catchphrase that we're going to get every week.
We get another catchphrase too that we skipped past, which is dinosaur might, ready to fight.
Yeah, that's a thing.
I guess judging from that doesn't thrill you.
Not so much. Are you into it?
I'm kind of into it. It's no, like, go Power Rangers.
Yep.
But it's also a step above those shots we got in Mighty Morphin where everybody said something.
Yep. I think there's just too many catchphrases and taglines for me at this point.
There's a lot of catchphrases.
And I guess this comes back to the morph where they say 3 different things over the course of the morph.
Yeah.
Oh, which reminds me, we get our first, like we had a morphing sequence last week, but this time afterwards we get like a shot that's them against a backdrop with their Zord in the background.
Yeah, I thought this was a bit unnecessary, to be honest.
Look, I don't mind it, but yeah, it is a bit much. Again, there's so much going on with those morphs. I don't want to make it too much of a process.
Yeah.
There's certainly something to be said for sort of brevity in these situations.
Again, the thing I'm just worried about is once there's 10 of them,
Yeah.
this show is going to be 15 minutes of morphing sequence.
And Zords switching out with other Zords.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a concern. And I guess it's one of those things where they're going to keep pushing that out until the kids stop buying the toys.
Yeah,
you know?
if we've got 40 episodes, you could have 40 different Power Rangers.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think that until they find that upper limit, it's going to keep going. Yeah, okay, then we get our Koda to the episode.
No, you have to stop doing that.
But it was so funny last week.
Yeah, but I'll accept it this week because this week is Koda-centric.
Yeah.
But you're only allowed to do it in episodes that focus on the Blue Power Ranger.
Okay, duly noted. In my defense, I'm very tired. So the coda of the episode is the Rangers pulling up their Jeep in a park where they see the young kid that had broken his leg but seems to be okay now, explaining what happened to his disbelieving friends.
Who don't seem to be suitably excited.
No, they're pretty nonplussed. But again, I suspect that's because they think their friend is just making it up. Which is fair. Yeah.
They have secret identities, right?
Yeah, there was a bit where, as Kendall is taking the kid away, he sort of looks back at Koda in slow motion and says, Koda! And I was like, oh, is that like, hey, the kid knows a secret identity, this is going to be a problem? But this does not seem to be the case.
The kid, saw all of them unmorphed.
Yeah.
It's been 4 episodes, and they've already fucked up their secret identities.
They don't seem to care that much, which I can kind of, accept as a plot point. They're just really lazy about it.
They just, I guess we could have secret identities, but also we're superheroes, so let's forget about those.
Yeah.
Also, the bad guys might attack my friends, but all my friends are Power Rangers. Yeah. So I figure I'm probably safe.
Yep. So there's a bit where he sort of reconnects with the kid, asks if he's alright, and sort of explains that it's okay to be scared of things sometimes because he's scared of bicycles. And then the kid offers to teach him how to ride a bike.
Yeah, so Koda brought this kid a replacement bike.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Where's this kid's parents?
I don't know.
This kid got kidnapped by a monster that looks like one of the village people.
Yeah.
He broke his leg. He was rescued from caves by a caveman. Mm-hmm. Got taken to the hospital by a woman he had never met before.
Yep.
And now he's being given a bike by a strange teenager who just talks in grunts. I feel like I'd be asking a question or two.
Yeah, maybe lodging some complaints with the police, certainly.
This kid promises, he says, okay, I'll teach you how to ride a bike. And then we do a crane shot and we pan out and see that they're on a cliff.
Yeah, that's so true.
If you said to me, hey, Michael, what's the worst place you could learn to ride a bike? On the very edge of a cliff is right at the top.
Pretty high, yeah. Maybe, only just above, inside an active furnace.
Yep. On top of the moon. The moon is a bad place to learn to ride a bike.
Sure, yep.
In the middle of the sun.
Sure, also bad.
And then on a cliff.
Yeah, I'm with you. And that's pretty much it for that episode.
That is pretty much it.
Did you like it, Michael?
I did. I think this was probably the worst episode so far.
Sure.
I thought that some of the Koda kid stuff was a bit kind of overplayed.
Yeah, I sort of went back and forth on it. By the end of it, in that last scene, I was a bit like, okay, that is cute. I'm okay with it, especially because Koda's sort of arc in this episode was realizing that he has a value, that he's not disabled, basically, that his sort of values and skills are of use and they can be used to help people.
Yep.
And it's a bit thick, laid on quite thick in this episode.
It's very heavy.
But for me, it works more than it doesn't.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's true of the show in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing that we didn't mention, Koda also wields a shovel.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, when he's fighting Slammer.
Is that just a thing? Do they just carry shovels to use as weapons?
I'm pretty sure it's happened. No, he picks it up from a gardener's wheelbarrow.
Right.
It's happened in, I think, every episode so far.
Well, I noticed in the opening credits, when it cuts to Kendall, sort of, and has her character thing, she's fighting off of Vivix with a shovel as well.
I mean, I get that they're, archaeologists, so that they've got a lot of shovels. But at this point, we've seen at least 3 shovel fights.
I'm totally down for it being a thing. Either them carrying shovels with them wherever they go, or just this hilarious ongoing comedy thing where they just keep finding shovels no matter where they go.
I'm imagining them being in really incongruous places. They have a fight in a restaurant and they just go to grab something and it turns out it's a shovel.
Yeah, there's a table laid out and it's dessert spoon, regular spoon, fork, knife, shovel.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, I thought it was a good episode. Probably, again, not my favourite. A lot of that, I think, too, is because this episode made me realise a lot of the stuff going forward that I'm probably not going to like so much.
Yep.
And it's not this episode's fault. This just happens to be where I sort of cottoned on. Like, oh, there's going to be a lot of Megazord switching.
This is probably our second standard episode now.
Yep, absolutely.
So the format has become a lot more obvious.
That's right. For good and ill, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Dino Charge creature feature, Matt.
Yes.
What did you think of Slammer?
Top of the list so far.
Really?
What do you
Above
think?
Fury?
Above Fury. At least for now. We can readjust Fury because he's obviously going to be ongoing. But, as I said, having a new power that I haven't seen before definitely, made me feel really good about his character.
I'm looking forward to the Native American monster.
I am and I'm not.
Alright, yeah, no, I think that's fair. He's got a cool power.
Cool power, cool visual design. Yeah, I was down for it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk Fantasy Zordon. How did you do this week, Matt?
I'm going to have to reassess because I did put some points down to Vivek, so I'll cross those off. By my count, both Koda and Riley got a Megazord sort of formation.
I assume Koda would get 2?
2.
Because he was part of 2 Megazord formations?
Oh, is that how that works?
I mean, we haven't discussed it. It hasn't come up yet.
I mean, look, it in the short term it benefits me, so I'll say yes.
Okay, that seems fair. You get 2 points for every Megazord formation.
Okay, yep, so that's 6 points for Megazord formation for me. Depending on whether we rule the bikes as a power-up, I may have 2. Koda delivered the morphing calls, so that's 3. I had down that Koda learned a valuable lesson in that sort of he learned that he's not useless and he's still relevant in today's world.
Yeah, I'm willing to give that to you.
Yeah, so that's 3. No solo defeat of the monster, unfortunately, and 2 points each for my missing rangers. So, not counting the power-up, that's 6, 9, 12, 16 for this episode.
Oh, okay, so Shelby was part of a single Megazord formation.
Yep.
Chase did nothing.
He was in a cage.
He was in a cage, which is his excuse, but it's unacceptable in this kind of game. He'd better have a better play next week. Yep. Otherwise, I'm going to trade him. I don't know enough fantasy football jokes to finish that joke.
It does seem like Chase has got a Chase episode coming. Probably next episode, given the format. I expect we'll see how Chase got his Dino Gem next week.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
And, of course, the Aqua and Silver Rangers did not appear at all this week for 2 points each. So I scored 6 points this week.
Oof, brutal.
Yeah, it was a rough one.
That's all right. I was trailing before, so I'm happy to have a bit of a comeback.
Yeah. So, Matt, can you just run through quickly for me? How many points did Koda earn this week?
So Koda had 4 for a Megazord, 3 for Morphing Call, and 3 for Lesson. So that is 10 in total.
That's the highest single score for any Ranger.
Wow, look at that.
And how many points did Riley earn?
Riley earned 2.
2. All right, so I'm just going to run everyone through the scores as they currently stand. So if you haven't been tracking, it's time to get your notepad out. The Black Ranger is on 10. The Blue Ranger is on 19. The Green Ranger is on 12. The Pink Ranger is on 19. And Aqua, Graphite, Purple, and Silver are all on 6.
Great.
So, Matt, at the end of this episode, you are on 43 points.
Yep.
I am on 41 points.
Ooh, it's close.
It's close. I like it being close. We've got some people on 50 points at the moment.
Oh, wow. Any listeners?
Yes, a couple of listeners, yes.
Okay.
And
Should we celebrate them on the podcast?
No, I think we'll wait a while and see how they settle.
Okay.
Also, a couple of our guest hosts, but I think we'll talk about them over the next couple of weeks.
Sure.
And the lower end of the scale is 34 points.
Yep.
Only one of our listeners is on that at the moment.
Oh.
And a couple of our guest hosts. So you're not alone, whoever it is who's on 34 points.
Yeah.
But you're close to alone.
There you go.
I'm sorry if that was a bit bleak.
Look, you tried, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, this show can't always be giggles. Someone's got to win.
That's it. That's how Fantasy Zordon works. And if you want to find out more about Fantasy Zordon, download score sheets or anything like that, you can do that at our website, which is www.rangerdangerpodcast.com. If you'd like to send us an email like the ones that we read out on the show today, that's rangerdangerpodcast@gmail.com. You can send us a Twitter tweet at RangerDcast. You can find us and like us on on Facebook rather. And I'd like to call out Facebook specifically this week because Facebook's where we get a lot of the interactions day to day with our fans.
Yep.
And I just wanted to call out all the people that share stuff on our wall, comment on stuff, just get into stupid discussions with us. I really appreciate it, and it really makes sort of doing the podcast worthwhile for me. It's getting to interact with you guys, so thank you very much.
100% agreement.
Yep. We also are on Stitcher and iTunes, where you can subscribe to the show, and we are also on YouTube and Google Plus. And we have a shop. www.rangerdangerpodcast.com/shop.
Please buy something.
Yeah, please, God, buy something.
I mean, look, I'm not saying, like, I understand if you can't afford anything or, whatever, that's fine. I'm not saying, like, choose between buying something and lunch. Right?
Yep.
But have a look. Maybe there's something cool you like.
Yeah, maybe if you, like, had lunch and then you have dessert, maybe you don't have the dessert. Maybe you get a cool shirt.
I think you'd have to buy a quite expensive dessert.
Michael, I only ever buy quite expensive desserts.
Oh, you like a fancy dessert, do you?
That's right.
Vanilla ice cream. That's what I like.
And you're a vanilla ice cream sort of guy, Mike.
I am a vanilla ice cream sort of guy. New Zealand natural. It's the best type of vanilla ice cream.
Look, it's great. I'm not going to lie.
It's kind of beanie. Anyway, let's not turn this into ice cream Dino Charge.
That's harder for this show, isn't it, than for Mighty Morphin?
Yeah, it doesn't work anymore.
It doesn't roll off the tongue.
No, we're going to have to come up with a new joke. Okay. Anything else,
I think
Matt?
we could go like, this has been Dessert Dino Charge. That's not so bad.
Dessert charge, dino dessert. I don't mind dino dessert, but it only really works because the words do. Anyway, did you have anything else you wanted to say about Return of the Caveman, Matt?
No, I don't think so. I'm pretty happy.
Okay, cool. We will be back next week, as always, with Breaking Black.
Oh, wow. Is that a Breaking Bad reference?
I mean, I have to assume that this is the story of how Chase started selling meth and ended up on the run from New Zealand in this new town in California.
Yeah, wow. That's intense. I wasn't expecting that.
It is, but it does suggest that you were probably right about this being a Chase-centric episode next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the meantime, we'll be back on Saturday with a brand new episode of Mighty Morphin Ranger Danger.
Yep.
I believe this week is... Oh, what is it?
Green No More Part 2?
Green No More Part 2. That's exactly it. If you've been kind of skipping our Mighty Morphin ones, this is one you want to get in on.
That's right. I think this is the episode that broke Michael and I psychologically.
Oh boy.
This is the episode that when I'm in my old age and my brain is scattered and fried and I no longer function as a human, I'll be able to point back to this episode and be like, this is where it happened. Yeah. This is what destroyed me as a person.
Yeah. Let's talk about time travel once you've listened to that episode.
So I'm still angry.
All right. So we'll see you guys next week.